Hey, pay attention to this clip.
Hopefully you can pinch and get a kill in the stew. You just pinch. You can just get a pinch. Okay, maybe pinch. One more shot. Pinch. Pinch, 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 pinch.
When Crying Man said the word pinch, what's the first thing that came to your mind? Was it pinching a human being? Or you and your teammate forcing the enemy brawler to be cornered in a way where they cannot run away?
Pinch?
Pinching is the term for having the enemy brawler being shot from multiple angles. Let's go over a few examples. Hot zones parallel plays. If there's an enemy brawler behind this indestructible wall, and if you're playing as an 8-bit, you literally can't do anything. If you go left, the enemy's gonna go right. If you go right, the enemy's gonna go left. It's an endless cycle of just pure hell. However, if you have a teammate walk on the left side and you walk on the right side, they're now being pinched. No matter where they walk, they're going to be shot no matter what, resulting in that enemy brawler dying. This is why when you hear a professional Brawl Stars player shout pinch or pinch that guy, it's a very important call out for their teammates because they're alerting to their team that an enemy brawler can be shot from multiple angles, which results in the enemy brawler dying. And now the fight being a 2v3, rather than that third enemy brawler causing a lot of mayhem. Speaking of causing mayhem, we have feeding, another funny sounding word. The feeding term is where one of your teammates is doing one of the following, giving the enemy free supers. Let's use this scenario as an example. You're playing ranked and the enemy brawler selects bow, a brawler with pretty flimsy range, and an attack which usually is not that easy to land, especially on those brawlers who have a longer range, like Piper or Belle, which usually results in the bow getting only 1 or 2 supers of the entire game. But in this example, your teammates select Daryl and Draco, 2 fat, wide men with tons of health, and very flimsy range compared to Piper or Belle. Thanks to these two, they're going to be getting hit by every single bow attack, giving him super after super after super, aka feeding. This feeding term is mostly used on the important supers, like Nita's bear, spawning an 8,000 health beast, Jesse's turret, allowing you to not peek around the corner, Primo's jump, that just kills you. But the most important super is Surge's super. Surge is a very unique brawler, where after spawning in, he's literally the worst brawler in the entire game. He has a slow based movement speed, really flimsy range, and slow projectile speed. This allows Surge to be countered by any brawler with a slightly longer attack range. He literally can't do anything, which is why you want to keep Surge at this stage as long as possible. But how does the Surge player get out of this stage? Well, if Surge lands 3 basic attacks, he gets his super, which after using, Surge turns into his level 2 form, changing his base movement speed from slow to fast. That allows him to finally become a threat on the battlefield. But most players don't understand how important keeping Surge at this level 1 stage is, since once again, Surge is literally useless at this stage, with his slow movement speed, small attack range, and slow projectile speed. But instead, players feed Surge his level 2 stage so early into the match, by challenging him up close, allowing him to be a threat on the battlefield for absolutely free. To avoid feeding, try to stay away from these brawlers. These brawlers on screen have really important game-changing supers, which allow them to become actual threats. Most of the time, it's pretty optimal to just leave them roaming around the map, basically hiding from any of these brawlers. You should 100% be a coward rather than being stupid. But we can actually use this to our advantage. Let's say the enemy team drafts an El Primo and a Daryl, 2 up-close and high-health brawlers. You can now select one of these brawlers to basically get free supers off of them, aka feeding your super. Wait a second. Let's say the enemy team drafts an El Primo. What the hell does a draft mean? A drafting is... No, not that. Is a term used for the ranked world of Brawl Stars, specifically this screen. What you're looking at is what most players have considered the draft. This is where all 6 players are able to view the game mode and map that they're about to play on. Let's go over the basics first. Upon entering, there is an immediate coin flip on your screen that either displays blue or red. Blue is you, red is the enemy. If the coin lands on blue, your team has the first, 4th, and 5th brawler picks. While if the coin lands red, your team has the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th brawler picks. This coin is purely random. There is no manipulating the coin to land on blue or red. It's random. After the coin flip, you're now given 15 seconds to ban brawlers for that match. Both teams are able to ban up to 3 brawlers each, which in total are 6 brawlers banned. The blue and red team aren't able to see which brawlers are being banned until after the 15-second timer is completed, which then both bans are shown off to both teams in the form of the brawler icons. After the brawler bans, you're now lead to the picking phase. Remember that coin flip? Well, this is where it comes into play. In this case, the coin landed on blue, which allows us to have the 1st, 4th, and 5th brawler choices. This is important since if you have the first pick, you want to select the best brawler for the current map and game mode to ensure the red team doesn't get that brawler. As I'm recording this on June 8, 2025, the best brawler right now is Lumai. With this in mind, we're going to choose Lumai so the red team can select her. The red team is now fully aware of this and now could counterpick our first pick brawler. Thankfully, we chose the best brawler in the game. We're in a great spot right now. The red team now has the 2nd and 3rd brawler pick in an attempt to choose a better team to fight Lumai. And now that their brawlers are chosen, the blue team has the 4th and the 5th pick, which we can choose brawlers that do good into their team. They chose El Primo and Draco. We're going to respond with Colette and Surge, which are 2 brawlers that are really strong into their team. A Colette could deal up to 4,000 damage per attack, and they could feed the Surge his levels.
He said it! He said it!
Due to El Primo and Draco being close combat, the red team now has the 6th pick after seeing all of the blue team's brawlers. The red team chose a not a very good brawler into the blue team. This is what we call outdrafted. Outdrafted is when the other team has lost the game before any playing has even begun. Off of our example, this is determined by the red team choosing 2 high health tank brawlers, which allowed us, the blue team, to choose good brawlers into the red team, as we did with our Colette and Surge pick, which in a conclusion, their team can't do anything into ours, hence why they're outdrafted. This usually happens when 1 or 2 brawlers completely shut down the other team's brawler selection. Outdrafting is something that you learn the more you play the game, and the more you learn a brawler's counters. Counters are when your brawler is able to take complete advantage of the other brawler's weaknesses. We'll use Colette as an example, because I think she's cool. Colette's main attack is a percentage based, which deals more damage on brawlers with higher health and less damage on brawlers with lower health. In specific, up to 4,000 damage on the highest health brawler Frank, and lowest to 1,500 health on the lowest health brawler Tick, which is pretty easy to understand. If you see in ranked that the enemy team chose a bunch of tanks, you can then counter them by choosing Colette, which will most likely have the enemy team running in fear, trying to avoid Colette dealing 4,000 damage per shot to them, which that basically concludes in you countering them. Countering is a very important skill to learn and take note of. A good brawler counter could make the game so much harder for the enemy team. Here are a few rapid ones. A Shelly into Edgar. The Edgar cannot jump onto a Shelly, otherwise a Nita into Kenji. A Kenji's close range, which results in Nita being fed her super. El Primo into Leon, which in an up-close battle, Leon physically doesn't have enough damage to kill Primo. I can go on and on with these, but the main point to take away, learn a brawler's weakness, and then learn how you could abuse that weakness to the max with another brawler.
Can they handle the Draco? Fire Bro dueling Luffy in the mid. Kyle Dog goes straight. Coming in for a big time punch. Zeus goes down, and Luffy falls as well. Now Pyodon going up the middle of the map. Zeus goes down as well.
Ping is an incredibly important mechanic on Brawl Stars. The lower your ping, the faster and smoother your actions come out. For an example, here is Mortis attacking on high ping. And here is Mortis attacking on low ping. But how does this work? Well, if you're running low power mode on your iOS device, your game will have higher ping. If your phone or device is plugged in, you will have higher ping. If you're playing on a really powerful iPad or phone, you will have lower ping. And if you're facing people who are in the opposite region as you, you will have higher ping. Can you control that? Absolutely not. Is this unfair that sometimes you'll have high ping for no reason? Absolutely. Are there brawlers who become literally unplayable on higher ping? Yeah, this is usually why professional players have these really insane Android tablets, which gives them the upper advantage because they can attack faster, use their super faster, hypercharge faster. It's just an advantage. But are these iPads free? No. Do I have a sponsor? Hell no. But do you want to know who should have a sponsor? Definitely not that guy. Trick-shotting is not a gameplay mechanic. It's not a gadget. It's not a star power. It's not a brawler. Then what is it? It's scoring a goal like this rather than this. There are zero benefits to this supposed trick shot, but then why do people do it? Well, it's a way of a Brawl Stars player showcasing that they're better than their opponent, indicating, yeah, I could have scored on you basically, but I decided to bounce it off the wall because it looked way cooler, which is like, fair, it looks hella cool, but when you fail a trick shot, it's quite obvious. We're on topic of stupid people, so let's talk about throwers. No, not those men. These men.
Trademark play.
Great reserving of the gadget there from Tyrant, spinning as well. Give it to Protesto. He thinks it's all over. I'm not so sure just yet. The round is still going back stance at the
I don't think you have the facility.
As the bolt's miss is not over yet. Everything five coming in. 9. I
Really comes down to what Tyrant do to slow. It's got to get taken down before it even really gets He's got a dude in the cut. Fire crew, but Tyrant gets there.
They felt that pressure and they dealt with it. Round of siege. My word, that protester came a little bit too soon.
Thrower is the term for players who give up during the middle of the match, which is usually indicated by spinning around like a blade, using thumbs down pins, clown pins, X spraying, clown sprays, or just shooting at you. Throwers are frustrating since there's literally nothing you can do if there's one on your team. There's no way to communicate with them or to actually tell them to, try in the match, but rather you have to accept that you're gonna lose the game, and there's nothing you can do about it. Thankfully, the almighty Supercell allows you to report players who throw, only if you're playing in the ranked game mode.
Do not insult my teammate that went 3-6. Do not insult that guy.
But does reporting a player actually do anything? Madam, this is a Wendy's. Oh, what was that? You ordered cheese? Well, I suppose we can talk about that now. Cheese in Brawl Stars is where you perform a stupid strategy in order to win, rather than using an actual strategy. An actual strategy on Hot Zone's Ring of Fire would be Bell, Buster, and Stu. Bell for her long range, Buster for his high health, and Stu because he stutters. He's just like me, for real, for real. The main objective for Hot Zone is to stand on this giant circle. The objective is not to get kills, not to trick shot a ball, but rather stand on a shape. Awesome. So now that you know that, here's our team. Now, what the hell is this? This is what we consider as a cheese team, rather than an actual team. With step 1, having Gray summon his teleporters on the map. With step 2 being Jacky and Doug using these teleporters to stand on the circle.
Let's go. Let's go.
over and over and over again, which eventually leads you to win the match. Because remember, the win condition of the game is to stand on the circle, not to get kills, which is why this Jacky Gray Doug strategy can work as a cheese team. So, hell yeah. Let's go over some more team strategies. Lanes. This lane term is applied onto every single map in Brawl Stars, except Showdown. But I don't like Showdown, so I don't care about it. We're gonna use Gem Grab's Undermine as our example. The left and right sides of any map are labeled as lanes. We're gonna go over the middle of the map later on. Under these lane categories, you want to place lane brawlers. Lane brawlers are considered as brawlers with short attack ranges, or brawlers who excel at a close range. Here are some options. We have Surge, who is a good lane brawler, because he's meant to be fighting up close and getting his super very easily. We have Tara, who is a good lane brawler, from her gadget spawning 3 extra women to beat up the brawler, which again is good up close. The lanes usually have lots of walls and bushes, which is a great assist for Tara and Surge. Because of their low range, they can use the walls and the bushes to help them push up the map. But brawlers like Piper, 8-Bit, or Brock are not labeled as lane brawlers because of them getting folded like a sandwich if they have any up-close interactions, which the lane area prioritizes in up-close combat. Meanwhile, the middle or mid section of the map does not prioritize these up-close brawlers. Mid brawlers are not supposed to battle in the lane areas, but rather, as the name states, in the middle of the map. These are where you want to use your long-range brawlers to prioritize the open area of the map, like Belle, Gus, or Brock. Most teams in Gem Grab prioritize in having 1 mid brawler that goes in the middle, and 2 lane brawlers for the right and the left side. This is usually the most optimal team, because if you had 2 mid brawlers, that would involve one of the mid brawlers having to play the lane, aka against an up-close brawler, which is where the mid brawler doesn't want to be. And just for one more clarification, here's a basic example of mid brawlers and lane brawlers. We're on the topic of team building, so here's meta. Meta are the best brawlers depending on the current balance changes of the season. That was a lot of words. Balance changes are when Supercell takes a brawler and adjusts their stats. If that's changing their attack, movement speed, health, or giving them a completely new ability. These regularly happen in the game every 2 months or so, and you really need to pay attention to them. Let's say for an example that Supercell decides to give Daryl an adjustment to his main attack, being a damage buff of 1000. This would make Daryl pretty good, which would most likely lead to you seeing Daryl everywhere. Why? Because Daryl is now considered meta, thanks to his extra 1000 damage for his basic attack. The meta now revolves around Daryl, meaning many new things. 1. You need to learn which brawlers are strong into Daryl. He's an up-close tank brawler who is incredibly weak at long-range combat, which means Daryl wants to be up close in your face. Let's craft brawlers who are also strong at the close range. These men, Clancy, could quickly activate his stage 3 form off of Daryl's big body. Cordelius could send Daryl to the Shadow Realm, or Otis, that could prevent Daryl from attacking or using his super. These brawlers are really good into Daryl, and with Daryl being meta, you're going to be seeing a lot of Clancy, Cordelius, and Otis in the current meta. Hope that makes sense, because we're not done yet. Off meta is where you don't do anything we just said. Back to our Daryl example, you need to play brawlers who are good against Daryl. If you're to play brawlers like Buster or Tick, these are considered off-meta brawlers. Because if Daryl is to roll on top of a Buster, Buster can't do anything about that Daryl. And with Tick, Daryl could just... It sucks how these brawlers are now unplayable thanks to the Daryl meta, but that's just how Brawl Stars is. You have to play the really good brawlers in the current meta before Supercell nerfs them to the ground, to then craft up a new meta which you have to be aware of. It's a never-ending cycle of making sure you're on top of the current meta, and it kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie with you. Wall break is the term for when a brawler has the ability to destroy a wall on the map, if it's with their super, gadget, or hypercharge. The best examples of wall breakers are Brock and Griff. Brock's gadget Rocket Fuel gives his next basic attack the wall break property of a 3x3 radius, alongside his super, which when aimed at walls, destroys them. You'll want to break walls depending on the map you're playing on, or the brawlers you're facing against. Let's say you're fighting against a Tick, Hank, and Dynamite. You would want to select Brock into this team and slowly break open the map with your gadgets and your super. This will make the game so much harder for their team because their team specializes in needing walls on the map, and without walls, they're kind of useless. Another example would be on the knockout map out in the open, which you actually want to break open this wall right here. Without this wall, your team has only one way of walking up the map, which is right here. But with this wall broken, your team now has two walkways and gives your team more of an advantage. There are many more examples of wall breaking, but the main thing to take away is to only wall break if you know it's going to benefit your team and not theirs. Since if you have a Barley on your team and you select Brock to break open his walls, that Barley on your team is now useless.
I have a question. Oh God. What?
Squishy brawlers. They are brawlers with a low amount of health. These brawlers 99% of the time are using the shield gear to bump up their health out of the 5,000 range. And that's kind of it. But of course, and now we gotta talk about the opposite term. Tanky, which is the exact opposite of squishy, referring to brawlers who are in the 8 to 9,000 range of health. These tanky brawlers are most of the time used when your team's main goal is to run it down. Yes! Oh, I didn't go over what that means yet. Run it down is the term for when your team's objective is to run at the enemy's team with tanky health brawlers. This strategy is mainly used when the enemy's team has brawlers with low damage output, like Mr. P for an example. And Mr. P is an excellent control brawler with his ability to spawn children trades out for his low damage of 1,520.
Shut up.
But if you choose a brawler like BB that has 9,600 health and ultra fast movement speed and a gadget which heals her 3,260 damage, this makes her really good for running it down when fighting Mr. P. Because Mr. P literally cannot keep up with BB. He has too much health and too much movement speed, with a similar term of this playstyle being take space. Taking space is when you take space. Let's say for an example, you're playing Jacky. Taking space is where your main focus is to not get a kill, but rather help your team walk up the map, which is where Jacky comes into play. We could walk up the map, stand behind a wall, and we are now taking space. Where if any brawler is in the proximity of this area, they're most likely going to die, which forces the enemy team to not walk in this area. You're taking space. Here are a few examples of brawlers that can take space on the map. There's one brawler missing here, however, which is your mama.